A vote that unleashed decades of war. A letter that tore a nation apart. A building that became the symbol of global power. What if I told you that between January 11th and January 17th, 7 ordinary days buried decisions that still control your life today? Did America's expansion blueprint hide a darker truth? Could one novelist's accusation really divide an entire country? And why did the US pay millions for islands its citizens can't even fully claim? Watch till the end, because each revelation gets more shocking. And Day 7? Day 7 will make you question everything you thought you knew about American history. This is the story of 7 days that changed everything. Day 1, January 11th. The map that created modern America. January 11th, 1805. President Thomas Jefferson signs a piece of paper that will change the map of America forever. The Michigan Territory is born. At the time, this seems like simple bureaucracy. A new administrative region carved out of the vast Northwest Territory. Just lines on a map. Just another frontier outpost in the wilderness. But this wasn't bureaucracy. This was a blueprint for empire. Jefferson understood something revolutionary. America wouldn't expand like European empires. It wouldn't hold colonies as conquered possessions. Instead, it would create territories, places that would eventually become equal states, full partners in the democratic experiment. The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 had established the rules. Territories could organize governments, attract settlers, build infrastructure, and when they reached 60,000 inhabitants, they could apply for statehood. Not as second-class subjects, as equals. Michigan Territory was the testing ground for this vision. And it worked. Settlers poured in, lured by cheap land and opportunity. Detroit grew from a frontier fort into a thriving city. Towns sprouted across the peninsula. Roads connected isolated communities. Schools opened. Churches rose. Democratic institutions took root. By 1837, just 32 years after Jefferson signed that paper, Michigan became the 26th state of the Union. But here's the deeper truth. January 11, 1805 established a pattern that would repeat across the continent. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, the Dakotas, Montana, Washington. Every state that emerged from the wilderness followed Michigan's path. This is how America grew from 13 colonies clinging to the Atlantic coast to 50 states spanning an entire continent. Not through permanent colonial rule, but through a promise: join us, build with us, and you'll become one of us. That's the real legacy of January 11, 1805. Not just a territory, not just a signature, but the moment when America proved that maps don't just describe reality, they create it. And that the lines we draw today determine who belongs tomorrow. Day 2, January 12th. The declaration that started a war. January 12, 1991. The United States Congress makes a decision that will define the next 3 decades. With a razor-thin vote, 52 to 47 in the Senate, 250 to 183 in the House, Congress authorizes President George H.W. Bush to use military force against Iraq. This wasn't just another resolution. This was America choosing war. Saddam Hussein had invaded Kuwait 5 months earlier. The world watched as Iraqi tanks rolled across the border, seizing oil fields and threatening the entire Middle Eastern order. President Bush assembled a coalition of 35 nations, positioned 500,000 American troops in the Saudi desert, and waited. But he needed Congress to say yes. On January 12th, they did. 5 days later, Operation Desert Storm began. American missiles lit up the Baghdad sky. Weeks later, Iraqi forces were routed. Kuwait was liberated. Saddam remained in power. But here's what nobody predicted. That vote on January 12, 1991 opened a door that America would walk through again and again. The same authorization logic. The same region. The same promises of quick victory. 12 years later, America would invade Iraq again. This time, Saddam would fall. But the consequences: sectarian violence, ISIS, regional instability, trillions of dollars spent, thousands of lives lost, still unfold today. Every debate about American military intervention, every question about presidential war powers, every argument about the Middle East traces back to this moment. January 12, 1991. The day Congress said yes. Day 3, January 13th. The accusation that divided a nation. January 13, 1898. A French newspaper publishes a letter that will tear a country apart. J'accuse, reads the headline. I accuse. The author is Émile Zola, France's most famous novelist. His target, the entire French military establishment. His cause: a Jewish army captain named Alfred Dreyfus, falsely convicted of treason and imprisoned on Devil's Island. Zola's letter is incendiary. He names names. He exposes lies. He accuses generals, ministers, and handwriting experts of conspiracy, forgery, and anti-Semitism. And he dares them to sue him. They do. The Dreyfus affair splits France down the middle. Intellectuals and progressives demand justice. Nationalists and conservatives defend the military's honor. Families stop speaking. Friendships shatter. Street fights erupt. But Zola's courage works. The evidence unravels. The real traitor is discovered. Dreyfus is eventually exonerated and reinstated. The consequences echo through history. The Dreyfus affair exposes the poison of anti-Semitism in European society, poison that will explode into genocide 4 decades later. It proves that one voice, armed with truth and courage, can challenge an entire system. And it establishes a principle: speaking truth to power isn't just noble, it's necessary. January 13, 1898. The day one man's words changed what justice means. Day 4, January 14th. The trial that revealed America's soul. January 14, 1943. Franklin Delano Roosevelt becomes the first sitting U.S. president to travel by airplane to a foreign country. His destination: Casablanca, Morocco. His mission: to meet with Winston Churchill and coordinate the Allied war effort against Nazi Germany. World War II is at a crossroads. The Soviet Union is bleeding on the Eastern Front. North Africa is still contested. Hitler controls most of Europe. The outcome is far from certain. For 10 days, Roosevelt and Churchill meet in secret, planning the future of the war and the future of the world. The most important decision they announce: unconditional surrender. Germany, Italy, and Japan must surrender completely. No negotiations. No conditional peace. Total victory or nothing. Critics argue this will prolong the war, that it will force enemies to fight to the death. Supporters insist it's the only way to prevent another Treaty of Versailles, another false peace that breeds the next war. But Roosevelt also does something else in Casablanca. He meets with the rival French leaders, Charles de Gaulle and Henri Giroux, and tries to unite the fractured French resistance. He tours American troops. He demonstrates that even in wartime, American presidents will travel anywhere, meet anyone, and take personal risks to lead. January 14, 1943 establishes the modern presidency. Active, mobile, globally engaged. Every president who has flown to a war zone, every summit meeting, every act of personal diplomacy traces back to Roosevelt stepping onto that airplane. The commander-in-chief became the globetrotter-in-chief, and America's role in the world was never the same. Day 5, January 15th. The building that became a symbol. January 15, 1943. The Pentagon is completed. It's the largest office building in the world. 5 sides, 5 floors, 5 ring corridors, 23,000 employees, 6.5 million square feet. But here's what makes it extraordinary: it was built in just 16 months. When construction began in September 1941, America wasn't even in World War II yet. By the time it was finished, the country was fighting on 2 fronts, mobilizing millions of soldiers and coordinating the most complex military operations in history. The Pentagon was designed to house them all: the generals, the planners, the strategists, the bureaucrats who would run the war machine. And it worked. From inside those 5-sided walls, America coordinated D-Day, planned the island-hopping campaign across the Pacific, and developed the Manhattan Project. But the Pentagon became something more than an office building. It became a symbol of American military power, of the military-industrial complex, of the permanent national security state that would outlast the war and define the Cold War, the War on Terror, and every conflict since. When terrorists attacked on September 11, 2001, they didn't just target a building. They targeted the symbol. 184 people died when Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon's western wall. The building was repaired within a year. The symbolism remains. January 15, 1943. The day America built the headquarters of its global power. Day 6, January 16th. The law that banned a nation's thirst. January 16, 1919. America does something almost unthinkable. It bans alcohol. The 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution is ratified. 1 year later, Prohibition begins. The manufacture, sale, and transportation of intoxicating beverages becomes illegal across the entire country. This is a radical experiment in social engineering. Temperance advocates promise a new America. Less crime, stronger families, higher productivity, moral renewal. What they get instead? Organized crime. Prohibition creates a black market worth billions. Criminal syndicates. Al Capone in Chicago, Lucky Luciano in New York, the Purple Gang in Detroit, become more powerful than police. Speakeasies flourish. Corruption spreads. Violence explodes. The government's own statistics tell the story. By 1925, there are more than 30,000 illegal bars in New York City alone. More than triple the number of legal saloons before Prohibition. Meanwhile, people keep drinking. They just do it in secret, consuming unregulated alcohol that sometimes blinds or kills them. By 1933, the experiment is over. The 21st Amendment repeals Prohibition. The only time in American history one constitutional amendment has overturned another. But the consequences linger. Organized crime networks, built during Prohibition, diversify into gambling, prostitution, and drugs. The FBI expands into a national police force. Americans develop a permanent distrust of government overreach. And we learn a hard lesson. You can't legislate morality. You can only drive it underground. January 16, 1919. The day America banned what it couldn't control. Day 7, January 17th. The purchase that changed the map forever. January 17, 1917. The United States pays Denmark $25 million for a collection of islands most Americans couldn't find on a map. The U.S. Virgin Islands. 3 main islands, St. Croix, St. John, St. Thomas, and dozens of smaller ones. Total land area, 133 square miles. World War I is raging. Submarine warfare threatens American shipping. The Caribbean is suddenly a strategic chessboard, and Germany is a player. If Germany establishes a naval base in the Caribbean, it could threaten the Panama Canal, disrupt trade routes, and project power into America's backyard. The Virgin Islands, owned by Denmark, sit at a critical location. For decades, the US has been trying to buy them. Denmark has been reluctant to sell. But now, with war consuming Europe, Denmark fears Germany might seize the islands by force. Better to sell to America than lose them to the Kaiser. So on January 17, 1917, the deal is done. America gains a permanent foothold in the Caribbean. The islands become an unincorporated territory, belonging to the United States but not fully part of it. The Virgin Islands today, a tourist destination, a tax haven, a strategic outpost. The people who live there are US citizens, but they can't vote for president. They have a representative in Congress, but that representative can't vote on the House floor. It's America's colonial contradiction, a democratic republic that still holds territories in a constitutional limbo. January 17, 1917. The day America bought paradise and created a paradox. 7 days. 7 decisions that rippled through time and shaped the world you're living in right now. If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden moments in history, hit that subscribe button for next week's video. Remember, history isn't made by people who knew they were changing the world. It's made one day at a time. What will your day change?